Ready, give it to go. Terrence, you first. Accio. Good. Bailey.
Accio.
Very good. Luke.
Accio.
Wonderful. Now Gretchen.
Accio.
Excellent. Now all together on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Accio Hogwarts Radio.
This is Hogwarts Radio, episode 230 for January 20th, 2019. Hogwarts Radio is the official podcast for Wizarding News, discussing all things Harry Potter, Fantastic Beasts, and the rest of the Wizarding world. For the quickest up-to-date news on the franchise, make sure you check out wizarding.news. Hello everyone, and this is Hogwarts Radio, broadcasting to Harry Potter fans worldwide since 2008. I'm Terrence Pinkston.
I'm Bailey Riddle.
And I'm Gretchen Rush.
Our show can be found virtually anywhere online, such as iTunes, the Google Podcast app, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Radio Public, and other places where podcasts are aggregated.
It doesn't matter where or how you listen, just make sure to tap the subscribe button, and we guarantee you'll have a new episode each Sunday.
We also invite you to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram so you never miss an update from the show.
Don't forget, Hogwarts Radio is also on Patreon. By pledging, you'll have instant access to many benefits, including Into the Common Room, behind-the-scenes planning of the show, Hogshead Radio, and much more. Visit patreon.com/HogwartsRadio to sign up today. Welcome to episode 230, and I'm going to throw out a number, 3824. Does anybody know what 3824 is?
Is that the number of hours Hogwarts Radio has put out?
Oh, God, no. That would be like 3,000 episodes. I mean...
that would be too funny.
Yeah.
I mean, with how long-winded we get.
You never know, but still, 3824. What about you, Gretchers?
Is it that Lost number? What's that number on Lost?
Oh, it's 4, 8, 15, 16, 23,
15,
42.
16.
Yeah.
So close.
Oh, okay. Well, 3824. We are on day 3824 of Hogwarts Radio. So it's been 3,824 days since we started the show. Pretty cool stuff.
Wow.
824 days of Hogwarts Radio.
She trying to rent it up.
How do you measure our show?
That's pretty good.
It's actually 5,506,560 minutes.
Oh, wow.
That is
I don't think that's how that one goes.
91,776 hours ago, 546 weeks and 2 days, and let's see, how many seconds is that? It's like 330,393,600. That's a lot of numbers, guys. A lot of numbers. So exactly from the release date of this episode, 10 years, 5 months, 19 days. Anyway, our good friend, the Shubes, might know him, Mike Schubert from the Potterless podcast, just got to the point in book 7 where Dobby dies, and he put out a tweet the other day. It said, "Dobby, no." Poor Mike. Poor Mike.
I think what I love about this is that everyone knows exactly where he is and what he's talking about with that tweet.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a very universal response, that.
Well, seeing that, and we replied to him, and he kind of sent us a reply back saying that he had never done a 180 so hard on a character before. And if you listen to Potterless, Mike didn't like Dobby at all, but now he's just like, oh my God, he's dead, he's gone. So yeah, pretty crazy. And it got me thinking, like, what if Dobby's death was a direct result of the promise that he broke to Harry about never saving his life ever again? What do you guys think about that?
I've actually thought about that before, and I really like that idea. But I mean, technically, if you think about it, Dobby saved Harry's life with the gillyweed. He saved his life multiple times in different ways, just never quite so directly, I think, after that promise.
That's true. That's very true. And G, one of our patrons, made a good point of saying it wasn't an unbreakable vow that was being used, so obviously that couldn't be the reason why Dobby died. While that may be true, we've always known house elf magic to work little more different than regular magic. So essentially, house elves are never free, if you think about it.
Yeah, I could definitely buy it. I think that's a pretty valid, disregarding what Bailey's already said about how Davi already saved his life a few times. I think that would be really interesting if they have to be, house elves have to be more careful about what they say because they may accidentally bind themselves to something, beyond what they're even already bound to. They're already bound to people, and maybe they have also this kind of verbal enslavement and verbal contracts that they have to be aware of. I think that's really interesting.
An overextended house elf. Aw.
I feel like then you get into, if your house elf is, disobeying his master's wishes, though, isn't that kind of breaking that contract too? So I feel like there wouldn't be any room for, like, Dobby's actions in book 2 where we see him going behind the Malfoy's back, if that were in fact the case.
Well, maybe that is why that depends on, like, the severity, because Dobby couldn't do it without harming himself. So maybe the effects are very much dependent on the severity of what you're doing. I don't know.
Or maybe it only applies to free elves.
Well, I think...
Oh, that's interesting.
I think he found himself bound to Harry, not necessarily by any kind of direct magic, but kind of as a life debt, because he really
by loyalty.
Yeah, exactly. And he feels like that he might have owed him a life debt. That's why he was always, willing to help him out so much. And then it was that he violated that request by Harry, and, ultimately he had to make the big sacrifice for that. I don't know if Dobby really expected to come out of that, out of Malfoy Manor alive.
Yeah, I think Joe's just evil.
Oh,
Just wants to tear our hearts apart.
She hates us.
That's okay. That's okay. There's some more interesting stuff that J.K. Rowling has done that people might not be aware of, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on. But for now, let's go ahead and get to this week's news. Gretchen, it's been a slow part of the roller coaster that we're on right now. I guess we're going up to the top.
Yeah, that's my hope. It has been a bit of a slow week. So starting off, we did get a release date for The Crimes of Grindelwald, digital and DVD, Blu-ray, all of that release. So the digital will arrive on February 15th. You'll be able to get that digitally. And all the physical versions, which includes the 4K Ultra HD combo pack, the Blu-ray combo pack, and the DVD special edition, will arrive on March 12th. So you can pre-order those now and receive them on March 12th. And the 4K UHD combo pack and the Blu-ray combo pack both include an extended cut of the film with more than 7 minutes of deleted scenes added, which actually isn't on the DVDs or the Blu-ray themselves. It's actually a digital download that you get with them when you buy it. So you'll be able to download that version of the film with the 7 minutes of deleted scenes added back in. Plus, you get a bunch of other bonus features, special features, and audio introduction by director David Yates. So it sounds like they're putting out a lot of really cool exclusives and bonuses on these versions.
It sounds like they're making a really hard digital push as well. If you can find some of the features in the digital version that you can't get on the DVD or Blu-ray editions. And that's interesting to me. But another thing about this is that they're almost a month apart, the releases.
They're very far apart. Yeah, they're very far apart. So that is interesting. And it is weird to me that you have to buy that first digital edition that comes out in February. That's not the extended edition. You actually have to buy one of these combo packs, a physical combo pack, to then get a code to download the extended edition. So I don't understand why they didn't. I guess they didn't have room in those packs to also include the extended edition in addition to the regular version of the film.
I mean, I would be completely fine with having 3 discs in there, or what now, 4 nowadays. You got the digital, you've got you got the Blu-ray, you've got the DVD, you have the special features, and then you would obviously have something else, like special features part 2. I would be totally fine with that.
I feel like most people would, which is why it's strange to me that they chose to make it a digital download. I guess to incentivize people who really just like digital to say, okay, well, if you want a digital version of the extended, you got to buy this more expensive version.
Mm-hmm.
Well, heck, to get any version of the extended, you have to buy the more expensive version.
Right. Any of the bonus features, any of that stuff, you got to buy the physical copy.
Yeah. I think the big time difference is pretty standard these days for movies that release in digital. beforehand. I've seen a lot of movies do that where they release a month and a half in advance before they ever actually come out with a physical copy of the movie.
I wonder why it is they do that.
I think it's to get people who really want it, who are probably also still going to buy a physical copy at some point. They want to capitalize off of both of those.
Yeah, and they can push it out faster because it's literally just putting it on the platform, and then people can buy it. They don't have to get all the physical copies ready and shipped and all of that. They can just drop it and people get it.
So
And it probably boosts their sales numbers for longer, I would think, because you have the big rush of people who want to get it digital first thing, and then you also have the big rush of people who want to get it when it comes out physically.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
And
that makes sense.
They know that there's going to be those fans that want to get it all. They want to get their hands on everything. So, I mean, smart move, sure. I as a super fan, I don't really see the point of getting both of these. Let me ask you guys a question. Do you prefer a physical copy of the movie, or do you prefer to have it digitally?
I like both. I prefer to have a physical if I have to choose one or the other, but I really look for packs that come with a digital download on top of it, just for the convenience of if I want to, I could download it and have it on a mobile device.
Yeah, I can't remember the last movie I bought. I have a lot of DVDs, and I know that I prefer DVDs, but I also don't buy DVDs or movies. I think the last movie that I bought online was High School Musical because we had to watch it. It was very important, and it was on sale, so I did buy a digital copy of that. But I would much rather own a physical copy. So I think for some reason I am partial to owning it and having it, and you can watch it on your little DVD player and take it with you places. And yeah, something about that I dig.
See, I'm the kind of person that if I can have it locally, yeah, sure, that would be great. Like if I'm able to download the digital copy and not just stream it, I'm fine with that. Because there's times that if I'm on a plane or if I travel somewhere where I don't have internet access, I have the option of having the movies available on my devices. That being said, I'm still kind of old school in the sense that I really enjoy the physical copy, because at any time these companies can pull the plug and say, you know what, we're kind of getting out of this business and we don't want to do this anymore. And then at that point, if you don't have the movie downloaded, well, you're hosed, because all that money that you paid in, it goes away and you don't have a product to show for it.
That's true.
That being said, I'm going to wait. I think for the physical copy on March 12th to come out. It's not that far away, you guys. It's like, 2 months?
It's only an extra month.
And the movie's been out for, it's been 3 months since I've seen it, so a little under 3 months. So it'll be like, 4.5 months, and I'll have a copy of it in my hands. I'm not in that big of a rush to get it, but, it's nice to know that they're trying to push it out before maybe the Easter holidays or before spring break so people can watch it and enjoy it. Gretchen, what else do we have?
So I think we talked about this on the show before, but a few months ago, Sci-Fi Wire was holding a superfan correspondence competition. So they were asking people to submit videos to show that they were the biggest Harry Potter fan and that they could be Sci-Fi's correspondent at the Crimes of Grindelwald premiere in Paris. So a bunch of people entered, and they just released a video yesterday of the winners on the red carpet interviewing people at the Crimes of Grindelwald premiere. So the winners are Katie Ayani and Ori Zaff, and they won the competition and got to go to the premiere and interview people. And they are so, so precious. I highly recommend watching this video. It's a little less than 10 minutes, and you get to really know Katie and Ori, and they're both so cute, huge super fans, like enormous fans. And they talk a bit about what it felt like to be chosen, and they both showed off these pieces that they wore to the premiere. Katie had like a handmade Grindelwald chain replica that one of her friends had made, and Ori had a shirt that his friend had embroidered, and she embroidered little elder wands into the collar and the Hogwarts crest onto the pouch. Just huge fans, and seeing them like walking around and interviewing other fans and just being really excited to talk to them at the premiere and then getting to talk to the cast. It really is very cool. And I think this kind of goes back to what we've been talking about with Warner Brothers and how kind of their marketing techniques maybe weren't great. And I think that Sci-Fi, by having this competition and choosing two people who are such enormous fans and talked about wanting to represent the fandom and help out other people and do something for this community. I think they just nailed it, and it's really great. I highly recommend everybody go check out this video of them on the carpet.
That is super fun. And I'm so glad that they enjoyed themselves, because I'm not going to say a once in a lifetime experience, but it's pretty darn close. So I'm so pleased that they had a lot of fun. And yes, this is absolutely the kind of fan that Warner Brothers needs to cater to, because these are the kind of fans that are going to keep the franchise afloat.
I can't even imagine just the joy that they experienced having this event.
Katie said something about how it was like the highlight. She's like, this is the best thing that's ever happened to me. Like, they were so excited, and they were so professional on the carpet and just really representing the fandom really well. So it's really nice to see that happening.
How old are they? Did they say it all?
They're both pretty young.
Yeah.
They don't say, but Ori said that he's still in college. And Katie looks pretty young too. So they look, they're people our age. They're like in their 20s, people who grew up with the books and the movies and just really love. And in the community, Katie talked a bit in the video about how she really grew up in this community, and she's been in the fandom for 20 years, and she's a part of all of these groups. And they really do, they represent who the modern, I think, Potter fan is. It's people in their 20s, people who have grown up with it, who love it. And then you're getting now all the younger people being ushered in with Fantastic Beasts. And I think that the community of old school fans really are trying to bring in those young fans and make this an accessible fandom for people. I think it is a very welcoming and accessible fandom, and seeing two people representing that fandom who are just so joyous and full of light and love and really accepting other people, it's very nice to see.
That's a wonderful thing that we're starting to pass on our experiences within the Harry Potter fandom, and it's kind of, it is changing to cater to these younger fans, and it's wonderful that we're there, because we can say that we went through it. We were there at the very beginning, the Sorcerer's Stone and the movie releases, and that's something that these super fans aren't ever going to be able to experience, is the release of a Harry Potter book or the release of a Harry Potter movie, and yet they're still so immersed in this fandom and in this culture, and they've done a wonderful job of kind of representing that.
So our last piece of news is actually a flashback piece. So we kind of wanted to highlight some things that happened previously. So our flashback news is from this day, but in 2011, when the concept art for the Three Brothers scene in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows was released. So designer Elias Little, he published it on his blog so people could look at it. And we'll include the link in the show notes, because it's really cool to see 8 years ago these wonderful, gorgeous drawings of what became what I think is one of the greatest scenes in all 8 films. So this art is just beautiful.
Yeah, I remember this being released, and we didn't get to see this until Deathly Hallows Part 1. We couldn't even see a preview of it at all, if I remember correctly. We couldn't even see like the full final finished product, or a still from this. All we had were these concept art pieces to go off of. And I just remember being in the theater and being so blown away by how they did this particular scene. And it was marketed as something that we had never experienced in the franchise before. It was going to be an animated sequence, and it was going to be very artistically done. It was going to be something that the fans had never seen before. And I hope that they do like a sequence like this in the future, where they have to explain something else. And if they have to refer to like an animated sequence, I hope that they kind of do a callback to this kind of art.
Yeah, I think this is one of my favorite things that we see throughout any of the Potter films. It was just so beautifully done and fit the themes and just the feeling of the story so well.
Yeah, I agree. It was absolutely beautiful. And I would love to see something like this come back, because it was such a divergence from anything else in the films. And you're right, Bailey, it just really fit the style and the tone. And I remember being in the theater watching it and looking at my friends and being like, "Oh my gosh, are you seeing this? This is so cool." Like it really is. It's still one of my favorite scenes of all time.
All right, Gretchen. Well, thank you so much for the news this week. Hopefully we'll have a bit more next week. And I really like this week in Potter history kind of stories. So we're going to have to see about maybe sneaking one or two of those in the future. A couple of announcements before we get going on our discussion today. We are looking for a part-time host to join us here on the show. Now, there are some requirements. We're looking for somebody free at least 2 nights a month to record with us. If you can assist with the pre- and post-production planning of the show, and if you have an unquenchable thirst for all things Fantastic Beasts and Harry Potter, then send us an owl to staff@hogwartsradio.com. Keep in mind, we are in the United States. All of the hosts are in the United States. I know we've been getting a couple that are worldwide, and by all means, please continue to send those in. But whenever we record, it's usually at night this time, and if you're over, let's say in the UK, well, it's going to be probably like 2 or 3 in the morning. So we'll just kind of keep that in mind as you submit your request into us. It's a lot of fun being a host on the show, being involved in the off-air stuff as well. And, we're kind of looking to spread that joy around a little bit by adding another new voice to the panel. So if you're interested, again, send us an owl to staff@hogwartsradio.com. Not a literal owl, guys. Don't send us an owl to the email. I don't know. I've gotten a couple of them where somebody just sends us like a picture of an owl, and I'm like, okay, what do I do with this? Yeah, pretty funny stuff.
Oh,
very funny.
clever.
People's got jokes. So yeah, definitely looking to fill that fairly soon. Also, sharing is caring. That's right. Share our podcast with your friends, family, teachers, pets. It doesn't matter who you share it with. Just share the podcast and help us get the word out there about the show. We are definitely still looking to partner with other shows as well, and bring other guests on. I think over the next couple of weeks, we've got somebody really exciting. I'm going to kind of tease to you guys right now, and I can't say too much more, but by at least episode 234, we should have somebody really exciting for you guys, so stay tuned for that. Well, let's get back into some Harry Potter talk. Some Harry Potter discussion here, because it's all been Fantastic Beasts since, the beginning of November, maybe even halfway through October, I think. So we're going to get back to some Harry Potter discussion, and we last left off discussing the characters in Dumbledore's army, given our backstory on them, and I think our last one was Neville. This week we are going to talk about Dean Thomas. Good old Dean Thomas. Not related to Dave Thomas of Wendy's.
What?
Is that his name?
I'm so
I
sorry.
didn't even know that.
What, you didn't know Dave Thomas, the founder of Wendy's?
No.
Oh. Used to appear in
I'm
those
sorry.
commercials. He was an older...
I remember now.
Oh, okay.
Now that you mention it, I remember it, but it's not a name I would pull out of my hat. Especially now when talking about Dean Thomas.
Oh.
Who would I think of? Thomas Kincaid. That's who I would think of.
Oh, yeah, Thomas Kincaid.
They have a lot in common, Dean Thomas and Thomas Kincaid.
Oh, they are both very artistic, aren't they? We'll get into that
exactly.
here in just a moment. But Dean Thomas was born sometime between the 1st of September 1979 and August 31st of 1980 in London, England. We don't have an exact birth date, but we can narrow down that year time frame because he was in Harry's year. He is played by Alfie Enoch in all 8 Harry Potter films.
Dean's physical description depicted him as having dark hair and dark skin, and to be even taller than Ron Weasley, due to the fact that he has a long neck. Dean also appeared to be of African descent.
Kind of like the tallest... I believe he was the tallest person in Dumbledore's army, if I'm not mistaken. Gretchen, what about his personality?
So Dean was generally an easygoing and good-natured person, able to get along well with many people. He never displayed any anger towards Harry during their 6th year, especially when his ex-girlfriend Ginny started dating Harry shortly after breaking up with him. This was because he was aware of Ginny's childhood crush on the boy who lived since she came to Hogwarts. He also easily established a friendship with Luna Lovegood, who many would find bizarre.
He never was aggressive, we saw. And that's one thing that stood out for me was that, you had all these other members confrontational and very kind of aggressive in their pursuit of certain things. But Dean was just kind of like that dude that just kicked back, went with the flow of things. And, it was like he didn't have a care in the world, almost.
He didn't have time to stress over that kind of stuff.
He's like, I'm at a wizarding school, yo. I'm here. I'm just going to ride it out. Dean means head or leader and is often the title of a department chief at a college or a university. Thomas means twin. I had no idea that Thomas meant twin. Dean is a half-blood sorted into Gryffindor house, and he's loyal to his house and Dumbledore's army. He played Quidditch. He was a chaser, and his boggart is a severed hand. Why would anybody have a severed hand as a boggart? I can imagine if it was his severed hand, that would be crazy. But just like a severed hand in general, I don't quite get that.
Did he maybe see a severed hand once? He was in a museum and he was like, "Oh, that's real scary. I'm really afraid of that."
Or maybe he saw someone's hand get chopped off.
Oh no.
I don't know. I wonder how he would react to the Hand of Glory.
Ooh, I don't think he'd like it.
Yeah, I don't think so either. So Dean is the son of wizard father and a muggle mother, though he believed he was muggle born when he went to Hogwarts. His father left when Dean was very young, never telling his wife that he was a wizard, out of the belief that not knowing the truth would protect her and their son from the potential dangers of the First Wizarding War. Dean's father was later killed by a group of Death Eaters when he refused to join them. There's nothing wrong with being a muggle, but how terrible is it to grow up one day and then being told that you're something else later on down the line? That's just, it's got to be unsettling. Whenever he gets that letter from, I'm sure either McGonagall or Dumbledore came to visit him and talk to him about him being, a wizard. That's got to throw a lot of what he believes into chaos a little bit.
Surprise, you're a wizard!
Yeah, I mean, that's what happened to Harry, but I feel like that was a very different situation because, it just was very different. In this scenario, I feel like if I was Dean, I'd be like, what's up with that? This reminds me of Percy Jackson, how Percy doesn't know who his dad is. He finds out that he is a Greek god. His father, Poseidon. So Percy's like, what the heck? My dad never told me. My mom never told me. So this reminds me of that because it's his mom could have told him. His dad, said, don't tell our son the truth. Oh no, she didn't know, right?
Yeah, no, she never knew. But
oh,
I don't know.
So that puts a lot of it on his dad then, because it really is my dad could have told us the truth before he died and he didn't. I feel like I'd be really bitter about that.
Yeah. Well, see, I would
just imagine being Dean's mother.
Yeah.
You have this child and all of a sudden they're basically ripped away from you to go to this wizarding school.
Right. Well, I feel like that's what a lot of Muggle-borns must have gone through, with their parents and stuff like that. It's just being ripped away from your home that you've known for the past, 10 or 11 years. And suddenly you're at this school, and you only come home twice a year. I don't know. I mean, just basing it off what I know about the school system in America, but I don't know if that's the case on boarding schools over in other parts of the world.
I don't know. I have a question about this, though. Doesn't he say in the movie, Dad's a muggle, Mom's a witch?
No, that was Seamus.
No, that's Seamus.
Oh, Seamus is who I'm thinking of. This whole time, I'm like, what? Wow, that's my dad.
My dad's a muggle. Mom's a witch. Bit of a nasty shock for him when he found out.
I'm just thinking of that quote, and I'm like, Dean definitely said that. Nope, he did not.
I now that I think about it, I've never, all the times that I've been around Devin Murray and I've had the opportunity to ask him to say that, and it's just,
that's a missed opportunity.
Definitely
Terrence.
missed opportunity. Next time I see him at a convention or something like that, I'm gonna say, "Hey, can you do this?
And can I film it?"
Just give me security. Get him out of here. So Dean's mother later remarried a Muggle who raised Dean as his own son. First name was Jimmy.
No. Jimmy Thomas.
I'm totally
No,
kidding.
Jimmy Dean.
He was in some sort of sausage business, yeah.
Yeah, that would work if that was his last name, Terrence.
Sorry. Fail. So Dean lived in London with several half-siblings who were implied to all be female. He had a very happy home life. He was a supporter of the West Ham United Football Club and was very artistic and showed off his talent throughout his school career. All of Dean's half-siblings are non-magical. So it sounds like Dean had a pretty comfortable home life. It really sounds like they were well off. He was able to explore his talents, able to enjoy stuff that kids enjoy, like sports teams and all that other stuff. He was just being a boy. That's what it was. And it kind of, again, calls back to, well, you're being ripped away from all of this at 11 years old, and how are you reacting to it? And that's something that I wish that we had the opportunity to be able to explore in depth a little more.
How do you explain, like, to your family friends, oh yeah, our son goes away every year to school, but all of our daughters stay home? Or, like, do you send them off to boarding school too, just to avoid the questions?
So Dean started his education at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry on September 1st, 1991, of course the same year as Harry. During the welcoming feast, he was sorted into Gryffindor, where he met with fellow Gryffindor classmate Seamus Finnegan. Dean shared a dormitory with Seamus, who soon became his best friend, as well as with Neville, Ron, and Harry, whom he later became good friends with. Can you imagine? Okay, so out of all of these, Seamus is half and half, Neville's a full, Ron is full, and Harry is half and half. So it's like, oh, wait, no, Harry is, wait, is Harry half and half? Or
Harry's
is he
full. His
full?
mother is a mudblood.
Oh,
But I guess
nasty word there.
How
I
dare
guess
you?
technically that still makes Harry like 3/4 blood.
Yeah, that doesn't work.
I don't think we've ever gotten an answer to that.
Somebody do the Punnett square for that. Is that how that works?
Oh my God.
Genotype him.
The memories, the horrible biology memories are coming back to me now. But how weird is that you're thrown into like this dormitory with all of these people who've been exposed to this community? It's like you're seeing all this stuff for the first time as an 11-year-old. What do you make of it? Are you just like kind of going with the flow, or are you just like, oh my God, this stuff is scary? These people are carrying sticks, they're wearing robes, they're doing these magic spells, and it's like throwing everything that I know through a loop.
I imagine it's a little bit of both. It's like, okay, this is cool and it's magic, so that's awesome, but it's got to be so overwhelming and so foreign and weird. I imagine it's like traveling to a foreign country and you see all of these new customs going on and you have no clue what's going on, but you don't want to offend anyone and you don't want to upset anyone, but you're curious and you're trying to understand all of this without stepping on anyone's toes.
True. So you're kind of scoping out the culture a little bit. You're trying to see so you're trying to see how you can blend in. Is that what he's trying to do at this point?
You're trying to see, I guess, where he fits in this world.
Yeah, just like any other, kid going to a new school for the first time. He's like, where do I fit in? And what's my place here? Who's my crew?
Well, yes, but it's not like this is any other regular school. I mean, you just heard the headmaster say the third door corridor is out of bounds to anybody that doesn't wish to die a most painful death. So you're like, oh my God, where the heck am I? What did I get myself into? So
am I gonna die at school this year?
Right, exactly. You're hearing like all these things about Harry and about this guy that must not be named, and I mean, there's got to be some sort of apprehension going on in his mind to where he's just like, oh my God, what the hell did I get myself into? So Dean, being artistic, drew a banner titled "The Potter for President" for his dorm mate during the first Quidditch match. So the poster pictured a realistically painted Gryffindor lion that, due to Hermione Granger's enchantment, changed colors throughout the game, which is really neat. Dean is literally seeing his stuff come to life, and he doesn't even work for Pixar. So that's pretty cool. In his 6th year, he replaced Katie Bell as the chaser for the Gryffindor Quidditch team after she became hospitalized for touching that cursed necklace. And at first, Dean's relationship with Ginny, who he started to date, seemed to be strong, as the couple spent a lot of time together. They dated in spite of her older brother Ron's disapproval, and despite the amount of time they spent together, their relationship began to spiral downwards, and it was due to, in part, to Jenny's insistent crush on Harry. She had harbored the affection for Harry since her first year at Hogwarts. So at the end of her first year, her affections only intensified when Harry saved her from the Chamber's secrets. So she still maintained a hope that Harry would return her feelings, but she started to date Dean and a few other boys as well. I really didn't see a fit for Dean and Jenny. Whenever I read about it in the books as well, like they were snogging. Where were they in the Three Broomsticks and the Hogshead? Something like that. And they were snogging in the booth. I just really didn't see that being a relationship that made sense. And I mean, that's probably why it didn't work out. But even in the first place, it's like kind of one of those moments in the series where I was like, what just happened? Why these two characters?
Yeah, I don't remember having any particular feelings one way or the other, because I think she so obviously establishes the Ginny and Harry relationship, so you know that it's not going to pan out. And we don't know that much about Dean in the books anyway. So it's almost like it's just adding a little bit of fuel to Harry's fire, you know? It doesn't really do much for Dean and Ginny's relationship. There's not much going on there. So I didn't see it going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and you've got to think about, like, they're young and they're exploring feelings, and even if they're not necessarily 100% into one another, they're still just experiencing life. They're doing what young people do.
I'd like to form an exploratory committee to see if I really would like to date Ginny Weasley. Oh my god. I've been listening to too much politics lately.
According to Hermione, when Harry bumped into Ginny while climbing through the Gryffindor common room entrance under his invisibility cloak and under the influence of Felix Felicis, Ginny believed that it was Dean who kept trying to help her through the portrait hole, and the two argued over it. Dean stuck his ground, saying he did not help her through, and Ginny ended their relationship. Dean was shocked at the insensitivity of his friend Harry when this happened, not knowing an invisible Harry was the true culprit and cause. Harry and Ginny shared a kiss at a Quidditch party soon after she broke up with him, and Dean broke his glass in astonishment that his roommate and ex-girlfriend would start a romance so soon. Despite this, Dean shared no hate for either Ginny or Harry for their relationship. He was just hurt they would do such a thing so shortly after he was dumped by her.
Yeah, I kind of felt sorry for Dean after everything was said and done with Ginny, and there was really no cooling off period. And Harry's just like, I'm here. Yo, let's go for it. I kind of felt bad for Dean at that point. It sucks. It really does. I mean, young love hurts.
Well, and you have to think about Dean. He's probably thinking, was this going on behind my back? Or have they always had feelings for each other? And why did she even date me to begin with?
Yeah, why did nobody come to talk to me to see how I felt about this? A bunch of stuff going on. I mean, to be fair, Harry was dealing with so much crap that year anyway, but still, Ginny should have at least talked to him.
Yeah, I think my favorite part of this is just picturing that fight. Like, you tried to help me. No, I didn't. Yes, you did. No, I didn't. Then I'm done with you. It's over.
How dare you not try and help me?
What a ridiculous thing to break up over.
Should have been like, I'm not a smart man, Ginny. I know what love is.
Yeah, maybe that would have worked out for him.
Right.
He didn't do it right.
I know, he didn't. Poor Dean.
The Forest of Dean.
The Forest of Dean. Oh!
In 1998, Dean did not return to Hogwarts to complete his 7th year. His presumed Muggle-born status put him on the run from the Ministry of Magic. He went on the run after the Ministry fell under the control of Lord Voldemort and began rounding up Muggle-born wizards and witches. The Ministry also imprisoned them in Azkaban for allegedly stealing magic.
It's so silly that I think about this, but so dangerous, right? What went on at the Ministry of Magic at that time. But, you had Dean on the run with, who was he with? Like Grip Hook and Ted Tonks, I believe. And they weren't they in the Forest of Dean?
Mm-hmm.
Whenever Harry, Ron, and Hermione were on their camping trip, and they heard him. I can't remember, did they say anything to him? Or were they just listening? They were just listening, right?
Yeah, I think maybe they see them or something, but they don't make contact.
Yeah, I think that's the part when Harry is under the cloak because he has to go get it's the part when Ron
Sword.
comes back. Yeah, it's like before that,
the
and he
locket.
sees them and overhears them, but he doesn't say anything. He doesn't approach them.
Ah, okay. And then that's whenever he hears about like all these, not all the deaths or anything like that, but it's kind of his way of catching up with what's been happening, I guess. I don't know. I vaguely remember that part just because it feels like it happens so fast.
Yeah, I think just the fact that Dean doesn't go back to school because the Death Eaters think that they've stolen magic. How do you steal magic? And if you can steal it, it's clearly not that great.
That's very true.
Dean was captured by Snatchers and found by Harry, Ron, and Hermione in Malfoy Manor, and he was rescued by Dobby. He fought with his fellow Defense Against the Dark Arts Dumbledore's army members in the Battle of Hogwarts, winning himself a wand in the process, and was later seen sitting with Seamus and Aberforth in the Great Hall after the battle.
And that's the last thing that we've ever seen of Dean, because it's unknown after that point what Dean's life was like afterwards. He may have attended the 2014 reunion of Dumbledore's army. He may have gone on to be an Auror, but it's like everything about Dean stops at that point, and we have no idea what happened to him, much as some other characters, like Lavender Brown. But it's like an abrupt halt, it feels like, of this character, and it's disappointing, especially whenever you've been with them as long as you've been with them, since year one.
I mean, really, it's like that for anybody who's not Harry, Ron, or Hermione. After the battle, we don't know much of what happens to any of them.
That's true, yeah. So there were a couple of other small facts about him. These are more so by J.K. Rowling. She had originally included his background story, which explained about his Muggle-born blood status and his father being a wizard, but it was cut out as it was like unnecessary content, and J.K. Rowling has said that she believes she swapped developing Dean Thomas to develop the character Neville Longbottom instead, as he was more relevant to the overall plot. I wish we could have known more about his backstory. I think that would have been fascinating, especially since it was really kind of complicated. A wizard father, a Muggle-born mother, father leaves, father dies. You're a wizard, Dean. We'll get to the Gary part here in just a moment. But I would really like to have learned what happened between his father leaving and him at first attending Hogwarts. I said Gary for a certain reason. Originally, Dean was called Gary in Philosopher's Stone, and he was going to be first introduced in the Sorting Hat chapter. His character was cut from the UK copies due to needing to shorten the chapter, but he is in some US copies. He was also going to be featured in the chapter Midnight Duel, going along with Harry, Ron, Hermione, and Neville to confront Draco, but he was cut out of that scene entirely. So after having cut Dean out of so much of the books, J.K. Rowling didn't want him to go unnoticed in the films, and when the film adaptation of Philosopher's Stone was in production, she blew away director Chris Columbus with the amount of information she had on such a minor character. So that would have been fun. Kind of have.
I just want to know what she was thinking with the name Gary, because she'd already picked Harry at that point. So she's committing then to Harry and Gary being friends, and I'm very glad she changed that.
Harry and Gary and Seamus. That sounds like an awesome TV show. Gary and Seamus.
Yeah.
Harry and Gary sounds like you're just asking for a lot of confusion.
Remember that guy,
Bad.
Gary Potter? No, I think he was called Harry. No, he was called Gary.
The name Gary will always make me think of SpongeBob.
Yes, that's what I was thinking.
Exactly.
Now I'm just imagining Dean as a snail.
Hey, a couple of interesting facts here. J.K. Rowling has also said in response to a fan on Twitter that she wouldn't put it past Dean Thomas being a Jedi. The source here is a bit vague. She might not have meant that Dean was an actual Jedi, but rather he would perhaps the wizard equivalent of one. So a more likely explanation is that having been raised in a Muggle household, Dean was a fan of the Star Wars series of films, much the same as he bought a poster with football players to Hogwarts because he was a fan of the West Ham Football Club. And finally, a very interesting note here. So Alfie Enoch and Devin Murray, who played Dean and Seamus, have both expressed that they like the fan theory of Dean and Seamus ending up together.
That's awesome.
That would be so amazing if it was canonized. We need
That
J.K.
would be.
Rowling to get on that. Yeah, because that would tie up two characters right there. That would be fascinating. And I think it would help out a lot with a lot of the backlash that she's receiving right now. I feel like putting that to bed wouldn't open up a can of worms. I don't think it would really. She would get.
I think it would. I think it would be just the same as the Dumbledore situation.
Really?
Where there's nothing in canon to suggest that that's how they felt. And then all of a sudden afterwards she just does it to try and make it inclusive.
So you don't think that
I see that opening up a huge can of worms for JK.
You don't feel like the fandom would be accepting of it? Or would there be like a sharp division?
I think the fandom would be... I think they would have a very similar reaction to how they reacted once JK announced that Dumbledore was gay.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so that does wrap up our discussion on Dean Thomas. And if you have any questions about anything that we discussed, remember to send us an email to staff@hogwartsradio.com, and we'd love to read it on the show. Before we hang up the microphones for this week, let's play Two Truths and a Lie. I'll kick it off here. Dean Thomas was granddad to Dave Thomas, founder of Wendy's. An original idea for our show name was ASCAcast, and we originally recorded each episode of our show a minimum of 3 times. So which is the lie?
I mean, it has to be the Wendy's one.
Are you sure?
It's gotta be.
That you recorded each episode 3 times. That makes me very sad. I'm having a visceral reaction to that.
I'm glad that we don't still have to do that, as much as I love recording this show.
So yes, Dean Thomas is not the granddad to Dave Thomas, founder of Wendy's.
Shocking.
I found a notebook the other day, and I might take pictures of it, and I'll share it on Patreon sometime this month. But it included original ideas for the show, to include original names right before we started Hogwarts Radio. And I think this was 2007 that I had this notebook, and I found it going through some of our old boxes the other day. And I was like, oh my God, I can't remember. I don't even remember writing half of this. So, and then, yes, we recorded our show the first, I want to say 10 episodes. We recorded them a minimum of 3 times, just because technology wasn't our friend back then. So yeah, interesting times for the 2008 editions of Hogwarts Radio. All right, Bailey, 2 truths and a lie.
All right. I do not have any Harry Potter Funkos on my desk at work. One of my coworkers asked me if I was a host on Hogwarts Radio out of the blue, and I do not have the very first Harry Potter Funko in the series.
Ooh, Gretchen, what do you think?
Yeah, I think you do have Funkos on your desk at work. Harry Potter Funkos.
I do too, yeah.
But what's the lie?
That one, because you said you don't have any. So I think you do have some.
Current actually just took the one I had home, and I am switching it out for a different one.
Oh, all right.
So that is not a lie.
Oh, okay.
So then it's got to be that you do have the first Harry Potter Funko in the series.
So, funny story. I only have, what is it, like 2 through 9 were the first ones that came out. Because the very first Harry Potter Funko is Harry holding his wand. And then I think it's number 9 was a Hot Topic exclusive that's Harry holding the Sword of God Gryffindor.
Ooh.
And I only have Harry holding Gryffindor's sword. I don't have Harry number 1 holding his wand. So my coworkers did not ask me if I hosted Hogwarts Radio, but they did find a video of me online, and they told me all about how they watched my YouTube videos.
Oh my goodness. Just wait, Bailey. It'll come. It'll come one of these days. One of my associates told me, he's like, so I heard that you podcast. And I was like, really? Where'd you hear that from? He's like, oh, just, rumors. And he goes, what's the name of your podcast? And I said, I'm not going to tell you. He's like, that's okay. I'll just Google you. And I'm like, no, just don't Google me. Please don't Google me. I'll tell you the name of my podcast.
You'll see some really great Terrence pictures if you Google him.
Good God, please do not Google me. People don't need to be exposed to that kind of garbage.
Oh.
All right. Well, that kind of relates to mine, actually. So here are mine. A friend asked me to talk about something on MuggleCast, which I do not host. My mom...
I still can't get over that.
My mom told me that the Hogwarts Express, I was talking about my little, my Hogsmeade village that my mom gave me. So she got the Hogwarts Express and she told me that it does come with Hermione. And I just planned my first trip to Chicago.
I don't believe that you just planned your first trip to Chicago.
I don't think the Hogwarts Express has come yet.
Oh, well, Bailey picked the correct lie, but actually the Hogwarts Express did come and it does not come with Hermione.
What the heck?
Ooh.
We are very sad.
That's just annoying. Who sends a set with only Harry and Hermione? This is sexist.
We're wondering if maybe there's a missing piece because I totally agree and I'll be very, very mad. So she's not entirely sure. It was a bit of a weird website. It was a weird transaction. She's been charged a few times. So she's not entirely sure what she bought. So she thinks it may be more than 3 pieces and that there could be a 4th piece coming with Hermione. So I've got my fingers crossed that she is going to show up. But as of right now, the 3rd piece that has come does not include Hermione. And I did just plan my first trip to Chicago. We're going at the end of May, and I'm very excited.
Oh, that's a great time to go, too.
Yeah.
What are you looking forward to doing out there?
Yay. We're going to see a musical. It's called Six, and it's about the 6 wives of Henry VIII. It's like a pop concert musical, and it gives voice to women in history whose stories are traditionally not told. And it's like really incredible music and a really great show. And it's been playing in London on the West End, and we very strongly thought about going to London, and then they announced it was coming to Chicago. So that was a much easier choice to make. So we will be going to Chicago to see the show. But if you like musicals and you like history, definitely look up Six the Musical.
Perfect. Well, guys, that is it for this hour of Hogwarts Radio. And if you'd like for us to extend our show by an additional 30 minutes, we're just looking for a few more patrons to sign up over at patreon.com/Hogwarts Radio. Of course, in addition to all the other benefits that you get us one step closer to that goal of extending our show out to an hour and a half so we can go deeper into character discussions, talk about the news a little bit longer, chit-chat for a little bit longer, just do everything a little bit longer. As we all know, longer is better. All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. Once again, I am Terrence Pinkston.
I'm Bailey Riddle.
And I'm Gretchen Rush.
And that is it for episode 230 of Hogwarts Radio. We will see you next week for episode 231. Bye-bye.
That was bloody brilliant.
Codswallop.